here at North Marcum. This is the boat ramp parking lot. This is where you want to start your mountain bike ride. Not down there where the actual mountain bike sign is. That really isn't the best place to start at all. So right between these two trails, you can sort of see a cleared path, and you keep going, you're going to find a very obvious blown off trail that I have rode now a lot coming into this area. So you'll follow this trail and you're just going to kind of follow along the edges of the lake here. I really enjoy this part of the trail. It's very flowy. It's not too muddy for the most part. Has a little bit of gradual, gentle climbing and descending, very minor, pretty flat. But it keeps you on your toes, and it does have some tricky off-camber sections, we'll see. So when I was initially looking to see if there was interest in, like anybody wanting to ride and work on these trails, I got a little bit of interest. And one rider that, I've rode with a lot on road and gravel bikes and stuff, not so much mountain biking, said he thought these trails were too rough, too bumpy, too rugged for him, which I just found, no disrespect, but these are pretty tame trails. I mean, there's not a rock in them. Yeah, there's occasional roots and stuff, but I mean, they're very, very tame trails. So tame, in fact, that I actually really, really enjoy riding them on this 26 old school mountain bike, which if I was riding like a tough, a rocky mountain bike trail in the Shawnee, I'd be scared half to death I was going to crash. So that was the first opening right there of one of the large wide areas, fully rigid, by the way, fully rigid opening areas. So that's where one of the archery shooting galleries were kind of plugged in. So it's going to be kind of hard to follow the trail always through here if you haven't rode it before. I need to blow more of it off. You should be able to see the path where I've rode. I don't know if anyone else has really mountain biked through here. This trail especially does, is because I think a lot of people don't really know it's here, and it's one of my favorite ones of the entire system. But it definitely, I've blown this off once and it needs to be blown off again, because you can see like the leaves have just come right back. But it's hard to tell in the video, but when you're there in person, you'll notice the path that has been ridden. And you'll also see the former folks who worked on this, like right through there, they did a really good job of putting sticks and stuff along the side of the trail, like large, long limbs and stuff that kind of direct you along the trail. So if you see what definitely looks like placed limbs to kind of create borders of the trail, then you're on it. But yeah, so we're getting ready. This little section here is a lot of fun because there's this one, it needs to be probably cut out, but there is a tree to hop over up here that, right here. It is, pretty fun. It's definitely the wet season, and there is mud on the trail. It's generally soft. This is the worst place, and honestly, it's not bad at all. It looks pretty sloppy through here. It looks like you might like get your bike stuck, but you don't, because while it is soft and muddy, it's not very deep and it hasn't been churned up. People don't walk through here. People don't ride bikes or horses or four-wheelers. So even though it's soft and muddy, it's like easy to ride through. I had no trouble like with the mud, and my bike, when I get done, my bike's not even muddy. So this next part of the trail I've sped up because it's kind of, there's nothing real interesting on it, but it's pretty nice. It's Lake View Trail, kind of the back part of it, so you get some lake view, but you also get a great tour of this olive, oak olive, whatever. It's this scrubby little tree that's all over the place here. Eventually you're going to come up and pop out of the lake at the old, this would be the first loop of the campground. You're going to start noticing you're close to camp, the old campground. You start seeing picnic tables, and anytime you see picnic tables, you're close to a road. That's one of the nice things about riding here. You're never far away from a road. And so this is a great, if you're a beginner or not real confident mountain biker, come here, because you could literally be as far, you could walk back to your vehicle in 15 minutes, from the far point of the trail. This has got some painting on it that just happens to direct you to get across this section of trail here. When I first started riding here, I just took the road around, but then they built a little lake. So now I found this. This was actually the original trail. It's pretty clear once you notice it. You're like, oh, that's where it used to go. So the original trail used to cut in here and then make a little loop inside this forest. I definitely am on the original trail now, but somewhere the original trail disappears. But they bulldogs part of it when they built this water retaining lake. So it's fairly easy just to kind of, like I did right here, and miss the turn. So you want to make sure you don't miss that turn and end up on the wrong side. So if you don't miss the turn, you'll see this pink arrow. Don't ride into the pile of boulders, but instead follow the arrows and look out for the trail popping back into the woods over here. If you didn't know it did this and you didn't see the arrows, I don't know how you'd ever find this trail. I don't know. I think I found it from the other direction, but it's pretty hard to realize, hey, that's the actual trail over here. This next section kind of winds around the other side of the campground and is pretty normal. It's actually, it seems like large chunks of it are gravel road stuff. So eventually this trail is going to dump you out after. It's pretty fun. It's pretty decent, this whole section. We did a lot of cleaning through here. It was pretty much impossible to ride. A lot of sticks and logs had to be pushed and moved off the trail and cut out of the way. But eventually it's going to dump you out in one of the big archery lanes, one of the big weird, sort of looks like somebody just bulldogs a big line through the middle of the forest. And when you get there, things kind of get confusing. I've rode through here several times. I still got lost in this section. The trail is in pretty rough shape. It needs to be kind of remade in here. So I wouldn't even really try to find your way through at this point. I would just turn right, go back out to the actual bike trail and loop around to the lake and get on Prairie Trail. Let's head over to Prairie Trail now. So to the right off of the road, off the bike trail road, you will see a very obvious path. This was actually the first trail I started working on, and it's one of my favorites. I really enjoy this trail. It's just kind of unique because it's sort of a mixture of some open areas, some in the woods areas. Most of it's pretty dry. The first step here is a little bit muddy, and it's very gradual uphill, so it's actually kind of tough riding, especially in the soft. But this is a really fun trail, and I have opened it up a lot. It was impossible to ride the first several times I tried to find it and ride it. I had to really move a lot of junk and clean it out. But now you can pretty much ride this trail nonstop. In fact, it's the Strava segment that I've set up on the route that I like to kind of test myself on. So this trail doesn't have like anywhere else, no big climbs, no big exciting features, no rocks. But, this is kind of cool. You ride up on this little dam here, on this little mini pond and stuff. So that's pretty fun. The one thing on the Prairie Trail that I am not a fan of yet, I kind of am, but let's look at it. The trail loops around in the forest and it kind of dumps you out in this field, and you can kind of see the path that I've made from riding. There was no path at all here, but this was the trail. You can every now and again see where maybe some bikes used to ride a couple years ago and it was a little bit indented, but for most part I've kind of made an indentation, and it's really rough, but it's a lot better than it was. So this section is, in fact, I think the former riders here disliked it so much that they tried to bypass it by creating like sort of an extra loop inside the woods to just get back and pop out over here. But I kind of like it. To me, it's like a little like sprint section. You can just go straight through there, no turning, and it's kind of fun. And when you pop back across the other bike trail, it's really, really easy to notice. If you look out, you're going to see a sign on the left that says Rend Mountain Bike Trails. Now, there is new signage to come, and, that should really help a lot. In the next, as things get even better, we'll add more signs. But, my battery's just about to dead on the camera, and the video is getting pretty long, so we'll cut it off here. We'll just say if you find this trail and ride it, it should be pretty clear. You should have no trouble riding this back to the other side of the second campground. All right, see ya.